First of all, I think this situation, unprecedented situation, had a huge impact on education we never saw in history, you can say. At the peak of the pandemic, 1.6 billion students out of school because of the pandemic. And the very first important mission we had as an entire community working in education was assuring continuity of learning. Education systems were not prepared, not well equipped to move from traditional classroom almost overnight to a new kind of virtual setting. More than 65% of teachers and state were not prepared to move to digital learning because of lack of skills, because of lack of training, and because of lack of infrastructures. One of the main purposes we have as an international community assisting governments and teachers and students on the ground in this situation, in this unprecedented situation, is to advocate for investments in education here and now. I mean, this crisis amplified inequalities. Digital divide is definitely amplified the importance of connectivity as a universal human right and oblige all of us to rethink the concept of right education. Right education today must include the dimension of me being connected. Just to give you some numbers, half of the world population, of students' population, currently doesn't have access to the internet at all. The purpose we have is to guarantee connectivity as a precondition for education systems to be prepared, not exclusively to eventually next shocks. We hope that pandemic will be not the new normal, of course, but to be prepared to the future. I think that the risk we see, honestly, is that education as a sector will be left behind. And this is very much dangerous because this is about the risk of losing an entire generation. It's not by chance that Antonio Guterres, the UN Secretary General, last year said we have the risk of a generational catastrophe if we don't take measures now. And this is a bit the purpose of our common action. So we have to convince political leaders globally that this is time to invest more in education, despite the financial crisis that, of course, governments and countries are facing. And this is what UNESCO and other partners are trying to do and trying to give as a message. All and each crisis have, a positive side of the coin. And the positive side of this crisis has been, still is, leveraging innovation and unlocking the power of transformation. And the third point I wish to underline is to find a new balance between leveraging technology and not losing the human touch, the human side of learning and teaching. And this is the importance of socio-emotional learning, and this is the importance of supporting teachers on this side of their job, which is very much more complicated today than it was, 1 year and a half before the crisis. The Global Education Coalition that UNESCO established 1 year ago, at the beginning of this storm, so to say, is a good example of a new kind of global solidarity. UNESCO is the UN agency in charge of monitoring, coordinating the SD4, Quality Inclusive Education for All, within 2030 agenda. UNESCO started to monitor the evolution of the crisis and the huge unprecedented impact of the crisis on education. We understood immediately that a new kind of partnership was very much needed. And the Global Education Coalition was from the very beginning call for action, addressed not only to the traditional partners we have. This is a collective responsibility we have today. The coalition counts on 160 members, and we have all the different constituencies around this table. UN system, private sector, and of course a civil society. So maybe this is the first time in history that education has been realized as a common mission. We have to protect and promote. And the more the situation is becoming a very challenging one, the higher this responsibility must be taken globally and scaled up. And this is the next phase this year.